So guys, the announcement for Conor McGregor's next fight has finally been made, and according to the update, Conor McGregor is expected to return in July at UFC 329. But even after the official confirmation from the UFC, a lot of fans still are not fully convinced and continue to question whether McGregor will actually step into the Octagon this time, or if things could once again fall apart before fight night arrives. At the same time, many people have started pointing fingers at Dana White, claiming the timing of this announcement was not random at all, because on the exact same day, Francis Ngannou was competing at a huge MVP event, and some believe the UFC purposely revealed McGregor's fight to grab all the attention away from that show. On top of that, Conor McGregor's head coach, John Kavanagh, also made things more interesting after sharing a post that hinted Dana White announced the fight while Conor had already planned a vacation with his family, which naturally has made fans even more curious about what is really happening behind the scenes. So in this video, everything surrounding this situation will be discussed, whether Conor is truly coming back to fight or not, what is actually going on with the rumors, and along with that, there will also be updates from the world of combat sports. Now, one of the biggest things fans noticed was that McGregor's comeback announcement for UFC 329 happened on the same day Netflix was holding its own major MMA event. The fight was officially revealed on May 16, and according to many viewers, the timing looked extremely suspicious because right when Francis Ngannou started his walkout for the Netflix MMA card and is back and officially announced Conor McGregor's fight. Wow! Because of this, many fans strongly believe that the UFC intentionally made the move to pull hype and attention away from Francis Ngannou's fight and the buzz surrounding Netflix MMA event. Before this announcement, rumors had already started spreading that talks for a McGregor return were happening, but nobody really expected such a sudden official reveal out of nowhere. This has led many people to believe that Dana White made the announcement mainly to overshadow Francis Ngannou and take attention away from Netflix, while others even think Conor may not be fully locked in for the fight yet, and perhaps negotiations were still unfinished when the UFC decided to go public with the announcement anyway. To be fair, this is not something completely new because the UFC has announced fights before, even when contracts and final negotiations were not entirely completed, and because of that, some fans still believe that even after everything being announced, Conor McGregor may never actually end up stepping inside the cage. The discussion became even bigger after John Kavanagh posted online, basically suggesting that Dana White announced the fight while Conor was preparing for family vacation plans, making the entire situation feel even more confusing and raising further questions about how finalized this matchup really is. So naturally, fans are now asking the biggest question of all. The fight may officially be announced, but is it truly going to happen or not? Looking at the situation personally, there is definitely a chance that Dana White made this announcement to take focus away from Netflix event because Dana White is known for being extremely competitive and rarely allows another company to gain too much momentum in the MMA space. As mentioned before, Jake Paul and MVP, which stands for Most Valuable Promotions, have been working together with Netflix to create a major MMA event, and it makes complete sense that the UFC would see this as competition. Many fans often ask what the difference between UFC and MMA really is, and technically speaking, UFC is simply a company, while MMA is the sport itself. But in reality, UFC has become so dominant that for many people, UFC basically represents MMA because most of the biggest fights, business, marketing, and overall attention in the sport come directly from the UFC. Whenever another promotion starts gaining attention or looks like it could become serious competition, UFC usually responds quickly, and that is why many believe Dana White purposely announced McGregor's fight at that exact moment while Netflix MMA event was getting positive reactions. Instead of waiting for a massive press conference or bigger reveal, the announcement came through an Instagram Live, which many people think was done intentionally to shift conversations away from Netflix and bring all the focus back to Conor McGregor. Now comes the real question, will Conor actually fight? The honest answer is nobody knows what could happen in the future because injuries and unexpected situations can always happen, just like before UFC 303 when Conor had to pull out. Also, the UFC has a history of announcing fights even before all negotiations are completely done. However, one thing many people agree on is that Conor McGregor is a showman and not someone who casually walks away from fights unless there is a serious reason. In 2024, he pulled out because of injury, but outside of situations like that, McGregor has rarely withdrawn from fights throughout his UFC career. That is why fans can at least feel somewhat confident, because if the fight has already been announced and Conor himself has publicly spoken about it, then chances are that whatever details remain unfinished will eventually get sorted out, and fans could finally see him fight on July 11th. Of course, there are still many people saying they already expected this and believe Conor will never actually make the walk, telling others not to get too excited too early, and honestly, until McGregor enters the Octagon himself, some doubt will probably always remain. At the same time, people cannot ignore Michael Chandler in this entire situation because he spent almost 2 years of his prime waiting for a fight against Conor McGregor. They even coached opposite each other on The Ultimate Fighter, and despite all that waiting, Chandler never got the matchup, while Max Holloway somehow ended up securing it, even though Max did not wait around for Conor and had even lost his previous fight. Because of that, many fans have started trolling Michael Chandler and criticizing Dana White for how things played out. But to be fair to everyone involved, Chandler technically did get the Messi-McGregor fight because UFC 303 was officially scheduled, but things collapsed after Conor suffered an injury and could not compete. After waiting for nearly 2 years, Chandler eventually moved on, accepted other fights inside the UFC, and unfortunately ended up losing those matchups. At the same time, credit should also go to Conor McGregor because he easily could have chosen an easier comeback opponent or even gone back to fighting Michael Chandler, since UFC would probably approve any matchup he wanted, but instead, he chose someone as dangerous as Max Holloway for his return. That alone says a lot, because if anyone checks the betting odds right now, Max Holloway is considered a major favorite over Conor McGregor, with many believing Max is simply too dangerous, especially considering how long Conor has been inactive. After being away from competition for around 5 years, stepping directly into a fight against an active opponent like Max Holloway is definitely something many people respect, although others believe this version of Conor in 2026 may no longer have enough left to beat Max. Their trash talk has already started as both fighters continue posting clips from their previous matchup and taking subtle shots at one another. For anyone who never watched their first fight, it is definitely worth checking out because it was a fantastic matchup where Conor injured his knee during the second round but still managed to defeat Max Holloway, not through striking but surprisingly by using wrestling and grappling. Interestingly, some fans think a similar strategy could work again because Charles Oliveira recently exposed certain weaknesses in Max Holloway's ground game, meaning Conor could potentially use his larger size at welterweight along with wrestling to create problems. Still, these are only early thoughts because in striking exchanges, Max Holloway remains incredibly dangerous and Conor may struggle due to age, inactivity, timing issues, and ring rust after spending so much time away from fighting. So overall, many people genuinely feel bad for Michael Chandler because after waiting such a long time, he now finds himself fighting on the UFC White House card instead. And hopefully things go well for him moving forward, because maybe somewhere down the road, fans will finally get to witness Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler happen for real. What are your thoughts on this entire situation? Be sure to share your opinion in the comments section, and if you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates. See you all in the next one.